Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Sideline Banter brought to you by Women of Fantasy Football. I am Sam Holt. Of course, I am joined by my co-host, Derek Tate. Derek, how are you? We just closed week 15. You know I'm in a good mood because my Steelers won last night, but how are you as we gear up for this lovely holiday season?
I've got 4 teams in the fantasy football semifinals.
Let's go.
So, yeah, I'm a little bit more juiced up. Had some unfortunate mic issues last week, and certainly have to give you a lot of credit for holding it down last week. So
It's fine. It's always a good time, and we're in such playoff buzz. We had a crazy amount of questions last week, guys. If you're tuning in live, please throw them in the chat. Tate and I will get to them as quick as possible. Hopefully, you're all gearing up for another round of the playoffs. Let us know how you're standing, and we will definitely help you out as quickly as we can. Tate, you're in 4 playoffs. That's awesome.
4, yeah. 3 of them I secured a first round bye. 1 last week in my 1 wild card matchup. It was a nail biter, Sam. Came all the way down to Monday Night Football. Speaking of your Steelers, Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith did me a solid because I was going up against Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
And it seemed like in the first half, they were totally fine with just running, tight end quarterback sneaks in short yardage situations. Gotta love Arthur Smith offenses, right? And they also pitch it to Jonnu Smith. So, shout out to Arthur Smith working in my favor, but your Steelers also got the win, so I imagine we're both happy.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it sounds like it worked out for both of us. My Steelers needed a win. We've got some interesting matchups to close out the season. Hopefully we can, stay on top of the division as we absolutely should. And have a fighting chance in the playoffs. We're trying to stay positive.
Gotta get there first, but
yeah.
I have a sneaky suspicion that week 18 is going to be, you guys are the game that are flexed all the way to the primetime matchup, last game of week 18. Aaron Rodgers trying to get to the playoffs one final time, going up against Lamar Jackson with potentially a playoff berth on the line. Maybe. That's how I feel it's going to go. But
just maybe.
Maybe. I hope you guys take care of business beforehand, just because, it's good for the show.
My God, I hope that we do. We'll talk a lot about, some standouts from last week. Guys, again, if you have players that you're questioning going into this next round of the playoffs, please let us know. There's plenty of injuries for us to talk about because there's never a week we don't have to talk about injuries. And then, just some matchups that we're excited about getting into this next week. Plus, Petty Parlays is back to finish us out. So we'll jump right into all of that. Before we do, I see a couple questions in the chat, so I want to make sure we get to these before we get too into the weeds. I've got this one from Cap for Life. Gentlemen, Stafford or Stout or Stroud? Stroud? Stout. Stroud. You spelled it wrong. I read it wrong. Thank you. I Ron Burgundy did. Stafford or Stroud this week, Tate? Which would you rather?
Well, Cap for Life. It's ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going with Stroud. Look, I like Stafford. Stafford's had a great year. I think he's the runaway front runner for the MVP entering the final 3 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Sam, I'd prefer not to mess with that Seattle defense if I don't have to. And for those who have really benefited from Devontae Adams, being a, kind of having like a resurgent season, so to say. He never really fell off, but having a huge monster fantasy season, a lot of that has benefited Matthew Stafford, particularly near the goal line. If he's not available up against that Seattle defense, if you have another option that you like, I'm okay going with Stroud.
I think that's fair. And you have to look at, the sample size that we have when you compare them. And you're looking at Stafford, the last time that Stafford saw the Seahawks, at least how I'm looking at fantasy scoring on ESPN, he had a high of 13.2 fantasy points. So if you're looking for a lot of volume and some upside, I'm a little bit nervous as well against this defense. I mean, it's going to be one of those things. You start your studs. So you're going to be starting any healthy Ram that you can, especially given that Devontae Adams is day-to-day. It's a Thursday game as well. So, Sean McVay is coming out saying, it'll be a game time decision. But I think he just doesn't want to rule him out to give an edge to, the defense to know who's going to be out there, because that's definitely a McVay tactic. I see a lot for Puka. I see a lot for Colby Parkinson in terms of targets. He's been really clutch for me in terms of I keep losing tight ends and somehow I'm still in it, and Parkinson is just saving me. So I feel like there's going to be a decent amount of targets to go around if you don't have Adams. The question is, how many of those are the Rams offensive players going to get against this defense?
Right. And that's kind of the big thing. I mean, it's hard to sit a guy who has thrown for multiple scores in 9 straight games. But in 8 games, he has topped 200 yards passing, or in 7 out of the last 8 games. The one game where he didn't top 200 yards passing, Sam, was against the Seattle Seahawks. So going to Seattle, tough matchup, potentially without Devontae Adams, who has been a magician as far as being able to create separation in goal-to-go situations. If he doesn't have him to rely on, I understand there's Parkinson and certainly Puka Nacua. Mm-hmm. I would just consider going another direction when the Houston Texans, if I recall correctly, are playing the Las Vegas Raiders this week.
Yes, a very friendly matchup for the Texans. Again, this kind of goes into you're playing for the best possible floor, and I feel like this is a safer bet between these two. You've got Stroud or Stafford here in this question. So for myself, I'm leaning towards Stroud, again, just because that Seattle defense is just so freaking good. And it's a little bit scary. So yeah, that's where I'm leaning. A couple more that I want to jump into in the chat. You guys are fantastic, and I've really enjoyed this season with you. You guys are all fantastic throwing questions in the chat, so thank you for that.
We love you.
We love you so much. Joe, being mean and flexing here, though. Joe in the chat saying, I did it for you guys. I won the Sideline Banter League. This is my only flex because I lost in all my regular leagues. You know what? A win is a win. Good for you, Joe. We appreciate you joining in. This one from Jonathan. Tracy or Sutton, PPR 1 point for first downs. Thanks. Good luck, everyone. Tracy or Sutton, Tate?
I'm actually probably going to lean towards Sutton here. Sutton Lee, I feel a lot better about this Denver passing game. Pun intended, I suppose.
Sure.
It's been nice, even though I know we talked about him versus Troy Franklin and even Pat Bryant kind of getting involved in this offense. But Sam, in 2 consecutive games now, Sutton has seen 10 targets, caught 6 passes for over 62 yards, and last week, over 100 yards and a score for the first time since week 3. So I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos, even though that Jacksonville team is playing much better, specifically on the defensive side of the football during their winning streak. But, I could see them having to lean on this passing game again. I think that the offensive outlook and approach for Sean Payton has changed drastically. I think they have the 3rd highest neutral passing rate in the NFL this year, Sam. So for me, if they're relying on Bo Nix and Bo Nix is actually delivering, I'll go ahead and lean with Sutton in this situation.
I think that's fair, and I understand why you'd skew and kind of question this, because Tracy coming off a game against Washington, where not only did he get the rushing touchdown, but he's got a receiving touchdown as well, 70 yards on the ground, 27 in the air. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a great score, but the week before that, week before that, New England, 3 points. Mm-hmm. Sorry, 3.8 fantasy points. This was his biggest game with Washington. Now they're going up against Minnesota, which I think is a little bit tougher on the ground. So I'm with you in terms of looking for that upside bump, especially given, obviously, we're in playoffs week heavy. So hope that helps you there, Jonathan. This one from Cap for Life. Flex spot, Breece Hall, DJ Moore, or Dalton Schultz.
Ooh, that's actually really tricky because Dalton Schultz has also been playing pretty damn well.
Dude. So we named this week's episode No Risk It, No Biscuit, and we featured tight ends as we were promoting this week's show. And gosh, talk about tight ends that are just going to suddenly get you there. Schultz is definitely one of them.
I'm probably going to lean towards Schultz. As far as a floor play, if you're looking for a pure ceiling play and you're projected to lose by 20 or 30 points and you need to throw a little bit of a Hail Mary, Moore's probably got a little bit higher upside, particularly with Romo Dunze banged up with a foot injury. But when he faced off against the Green Bay Packers just 2 games ago, Sam, DJ Moore had 1 reception for -4 yards.
Yeah, not great.
I know they don't have Micah Parsons anymore, which is really, 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 really sad. And I know we'll probably get to Patrick Mahomes at some point. But just focusing on this question, that's how I would play it. I would go floor or ceiling depending on what your projections look like. So more for upside, Schultz if you just want a higher floor.
I think I'm going to zig when you're zagging. I'm going to go Breece Hall here. He's got the Saints, and I just feel like there's a lot you can do and capitalize on them. I think the only thing there is there's not a lot of fight left in the Jets. So there's not a lot of fight left in Breece Hall. And I feel like there's plenty of fight left for Schultz. So if you're looking for someone that you're actively cheering for, to all your points, Tay, I would personally rather start Schultz because I'm going to enjoy watching that game more. I'm going to be gritting my teeth, despite the fact that Hall is projected for more points compared to both of these other players.
I know.
It's just it doesn't feel good because it's not good. It's been brutal. It's been absolutely horrible. So I'm just saying you can't completely ignore. It is still Breece Hall. However, the Jets just don't feel like they have a ton that they're going after. His last 2 fantasy games, he's had less than 5 fantasy points in each of those matchups. The last time he's had himself a big game was against Cincinnati in week 8, and that was over 30 fantasy points that he wrecked in that week. The last time he had a touchdown was week 13 against Atlanta. Again, this is the Saints. There's still some fight left in them. Is there enough fight left in the Jets is my question.
Well, Tyler Shuck's actually given them more of a chance to have a puncher's chance to win every week. I mean, in back-to-back weeks, Sam, they have beaten the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, granted, I'm with both of how those teams have been this year, very up and down and 500, and they're leading the division right now. That's, not saying a whole lot, but it is signs of life from Tyler Shuck. So I'm not necessarily penciling this one in for it being an automatic competitive game. I think that there is a possibility that the Saints are better than the Jets and seem to be certainly trending in the right direction in direct comparison to the situation that Breece Hall's in right now.
Yeah. It's just brutal. We've got actually quite a few questions. I want to make sure we get to these before we continue to dive into what's coming for us in week 16. This one from Bayonne. Hey guys, half point PPR. I have Tyler Warren, Waller, and could pick up Parkinson from the waiver. Who would you pick to start in week 16? This is straight tight ends question. Let's just rank them going in.
I understand everything you told me with Colby Parkinson, and I am not trying to overlook his 5 receptions for 75 yards and 2 scores. I get it. Again, goes back to their matchup. I think Nicky Monwari looks like a future star in a hybrid big slot role in that Mike McDonald defense. And I think he's part of what's unlocked that defense over, I'd say, the last 2 months of the season. So that's why I'm leaning away from Parkinson, right? Certainly, you can make the case with Devontae Adams. Waller feels like the play, and I say that gritting my teeth as I'm saying it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he is a big target in the red zone. They play the Bengals in what I think should be favorable weather conditions in comparison to a lot of other games across the NFL this week as we're in the month of December. So I would probably go Waller. I don't.
It feels weird.
It does feel weird. I also just don't know what to expect from Phillip Rivers. Great story, but
amazing. Yes.
Great story.
Fantastic.
There should not be a person that is cheering against him from just being a football fan. Like, I love the fact that he just said, you know what? I love playing football. I don't want to wonder what if. I think it's amazing. For the fantasy outlook of the pass catchers in Indianapolis, I don't know if it gives me enough to be excited right now. I'm going to go with Darren Waller, even though I love Tyler Warren. I know it sounds insane, but, Waller did have himself a nice performance against the Steelers. A lot of it came in garbage time, which is, I think, probably the biggest hesitation that I have. Sitting a guy like Warren, who's been great his rookie year, I just see a path where maybe that turns into a shootout, and I want a piece of that if Waller is the red zone target there in Miami.
I think that's fair. What's interesting about all these matchups is all of these defenses actually weak at defending the tight end. So even going back to the Seahawks and how they should be preparing for Parkinson, they're 26th in the league against the position. So as much as they're 4th against receiver, 6th against running back, 26th against tight end, I do feel like this is a game that Parkinson can have some success when everyone else is going to be covered as well as they're going to be. Going to Fantasy Life rankings, because I'm a company woman, Parkinson is ahead of Waller. Waller is ahead of Warren. They are in that order. Parkinson, Waller, and Warren. Just going off of rankings alone for myself, I'm going to lean Parkinson. I'm starting them as well, so maybe that gives you an edge as to why you should or should not start them. I'm just saying, I'm starting Parkinson. Ow. I'm leaning there. I do love the matchup for Waller as well. My same concerns with Warren are the same that you just outlined. He's got Phillip Rivers, and though I was cheering, I hope as loud as everyone else was when he threw for a touchdown this weekend, and I will continue to watch and cheer for him. We love a guy that comes back just because he loves the game, but also wants to win for a team that he loves. It's fantastic. For my fantasy team, I'm going to go for upside, and I'm going to go where I think the volume's going to be. I feel like in order to move the ball forward, the Rams are going to have to play through their tight ends.
Yeah, I would just raise my hand and go, who did Tyler Warren play last week?
Don't ask me hard questions.
The Seahawks. And he went 3 catches for 19 yards. So, just...
Fine, then start Waller.
That's all. That's my only
very fair
counter argument. There.
Okay, counter argument. MVP candidate Stafford, Tua.
Oh yeah,
there's that.
I lose that one every day.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we're back to being even, and I feel better now. Guys, thank you so much for getting all these questions in the chat. We really appreciate it. This one from Joe. Who would you rather, Stafford, Hurts, or May this week? I will just pull up my Fantasy Life rankings here over at quarterback to lean here. Hurts and May are going to be above Stafford easily again because we've just been highlighting this Seahawks defense and how stout they're going to be. Hurts just above May because he's playing Washington this week. So I'm going to rank them to mirror that. I'll go Hurts, May, and Stafford. How about you?
It's very hard to trust Jalen Hurts, who has had a very, very, very up and down season this year.
Mm-hmm.
I know that he had a nice week against the Raiders. Awesome.
He should have.
When he had 5 turnovers the week before against the Los Angeles Chargers,
it's a decent amount of turnovers.
Just a little bit up and down. Whereas Drake May has been. I know he had a rough game against the Buffalo Bills. He did have 2 rushing touchdowns, though.
He did.
So I'm going to go with Drake May.
Fine, fair. We're splitting hairs between 2 great quarterbacks, but obviously we have to rank Stafford just outside because of the defense that he's playing. This one from Bayonne. Half point, I have to choose one quarterback for week 16. Who would you start between Caleb and Shuck? That's a tough pick. Talk about splitting hairs.
That is way tougher than it has any business being. Oh, damn. I hate to say this, but I feel like I want to go Tyler Shuck over Caleb Williams. I can't believe I'm saying that. Oh my God.
Well, they're right behind each other in Fantasy Life rankings, and they're ping-ponging across everyone's rankings because it'll do the consensus as well as individuals, and they're going back and forth. So I think that it makes sense why you're in a pickle, Tate. I am as well.
My gut tells me to go with Caleb. I just love
against the
matchup.
Packers.
I love the matchup. I love it inside for Tyler Shuck too.
Just do it for the plot. Start Tyler Shuck. There you go. That's the answer.
I'm going to go with my gut. Yeah. Clearly, I want to go with Shuck.
Yes. I mean, if it's that difficult, it's because you want to make that pick. This one from Spartacus. Hello, I have Burrow, and I am considering dropping either Monty, T. Warren. I have Bowers, E. Wilson. Opponent has Jacobs for Brissett. Should I just run with Burrow and stop overthinking? Solid question.
No, it is. And one other Burrow hasn't quite really looked like himself since he's come back, right, Sam?
Doesn't sound like himself in interviews, that's for sure.
Yeah. Obviously it's probably just demoralizing that, here they are again. They're missing the playoffs, and, Joe had another injury riddled season. Mm-hmm. And we keep having to talk about Sam. Finally, Jacoby Brissett had a game where he finished with under 250 passing yards in a game, and he finished with 249. Like, 3 scores again over the last 3 games. He has 7 passing touchdowns. Like, he's thrown over 40 pass attempts in every single one of those contests. Like, it is quite clear who they're leaning on right now to engine the offense there in Arizona. Mm-hmm. And Brissett has developed a very reliable floor, and it's not a bad matchup against Atlanta. So I would say I'm okay with picking up Brissett. Now, who do I drop? Mm-hmm. Probably Emmanuel Wilson.
I agree. I think this is actually one of those kind of strategy moves where you just want to pick someone up to kind of play a little bit defense against your opponents as well. I would still start Burrow, but just to pick up Brissett, just to have him so someone else doesn't, as a just in case, I'm always for. So I love starting Burrow this week. It is a very friendly matchup. And if it gives you any hope, even my Aaron Rodgers, which sounds like a terrible sentence I would never normally say, had over 200 passing yards against the Dolphins this past week and 2 passing touchdowns. And I will say, despite the fact that I have a Steelers sign behind me, I do believe that Joe Burrow has very good pass catchers at his disposal. So,
well, we do have to keep an eye on T. Higgins, though.
We do. He still has Jamar Chase.
Well, yes.
There's
yes,
that guy. There's that guy.
I know. All right, now I'm getting a little too spicy. I already said Tyler Shuck over Caleb Williams. Now I'm sitting here talking myself into Brissett over Joe Burrow. All right, I'll let you check me on this one. Stick with Burrow, but definitely pick up Brissett to block anybody else from potentially being used against you during the playoffs.
Best offense is a good defense. Just saying. Mm-hmm. This is how we win championships. This one from Fighting Solves Everything. I kind of love that name. I have Bowers and Warren and was thinking of getting Parkinson. Is this move necessary? Don't know that it's entirely necessary unless you're in a tight end premium league. And again, going to just keep away against your opponents. If you're going up against someone else this week that has weak at the position and you can afford to just steal away a tight end, then that would be the only reason. But it really depends on your format if you can start all of them.
I mean, I would have a hard time starting Parkinson again this week. Now, again, if you want to block, that's fine. I don't see a path where I'm not going to start Bowers, though.
No, 100%. You're starting Bowers for sure. This one from Mark. Pickens or Evans at wide receiver 2 in PPR?
I'm probably going to lean Pickens. I understand Mike Evans looked good. Mm-hmm. So happy he's back. Lord knows we need him. But yeah, I'm going to go with Pickens. He's just, had a great season. And Mike Evans is kind of the man beater for this Buccaneers passing game when opposing teams try to go cover 1 or cover 0, something like that. And the Panthers run a lot of zone. So I don't know if I see a repeat performance for Evans in week number what are we in, week 16?
We're in week 16. This is the place we live now.
Wild. George Pickens, though, for this week.
I'd also like George Pickens for this week. And looking at the matchup, Chargers defense is first in the league against the position. So part of me wants to say this is going to be a matchup pick. However, I do feel like the Chargers will charger and they will shoot themselves in the foot a little bit when it comes to big games like this. I do feel like both of these teams still have a lot to play for. So could they get in their own way a little bit, the defense, and could, Dak Prescott is really on one right now, and I think getting a lot of volume out. So I do feel like in order for them to stay in this, it's going to be done through the air, not on the ground. So to me, I do feel like I like Pickens just a little bit more for upside.
You're definitely right to bring up that matchup, though. The Chargers defense is playing out of their minds over the last month.
They are, but they are also really good, again, at getting in their own way and at least creating situations where the game ends up staying closer than they need it to be, which makes their opponents create kind of shootout formats. So I do feel like, this is something where I don't want to be blinded by that alone. There's a lot in the air when it comes to games like this.
But then for Mark's follow-up question, then I would play Evans over Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, I think that's a great call out too, in terms of how you rank them. Let's see. Wow, so many questions in the chat today. You guys are awesome. Fighting solves everything. I need 2 flexes. Tet, Michael Wilson, Henderson, Judkins, or Woody.
I don't know how you can sit Henderson right now.
You can't. I wouldn't. I don't want to. But we get to pick 2 from this list.
Yes. I will probably go with Tet McMillan. Zion McCollum's also now dealing with an injury in that Buccaneers secondary. Right now, I know this is not a Buccaneers podcast, but Sam, did you catch Todd Bowles' post-game interview?
I did not. I'm so sorry. I missed it.
No, it's fine. I'll catch you up.
Can you fill me in?
I'll fill you in real quick.
Thank you.
Explicative laden.
Oh, no, wait. I did catch this. I counted. There were like 8 curse words. And 7 of them were little F-bombs.
Through a couple,
there's some other
ones in there.
They were all for flavor. There's some extra words thrown in there for flavor. Had some spice to them. It was good stuff.
In-house fighting, though, is what I'm trying to say. And
fighting solves everything. This is the question.
It does. Fighting solves everything. So hopefully Todd Bowles saying, hey, I'm the head coach of the team, but the coaches have done everything they can. It's up to the players now to really, you're saying that hey, if you've done everything you can and this team is still losing, then why are you the guy for the job moving forward? Anyway, yeah. I digress. So that Buccaneers defense right now, there are problems. So for me, give me Tet McMillan against the secondary that is pretty banged up and struggling right now, giving up a lot of explosive plays.
I think that's fair. Picking 2, my picks are all going to be the same ride or dies that I've kind of been sticking with and what's taken me into the playoffs. I'm going to go Michael Wilson and I'm going to go Travion Henderson. Both of them within the top, 25 in terms of rankings and going into this week based on their matchups. They've gotten you this far. You might as well keep going. I would love to get Ted in there, but still.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Either whether it's Tet or Michael Wilson, I definitely want to get Henderson, Wilson, and Tet in there. I don't know what the rest of your roster looks like. Fighting solves everything, but I like all 3 of their outlooks this week.
They all have very good outlooks, yes. But Judkins and Woody kind of drop off the list when you can make that comparison. So that's hopefully going to narrow down your choice for you. This one from Mark, Burrow or Dak, just straight up. Which would you rather?
Burrow. I know you like Dak, and I like Dak too. He's had a really nice year. Bengals ain't right, but if you're giving the stamp of approval, Sam, and you think that Joe Burrow is going to have himself a nice game against a Miami Dolphins defense that, kind of got picked apart by a very pedestrian passing game there in Pittsburgh, then
yes, that's exactly what happened. So no, I do like how Dak has been playing, but matchup based alone, my ghost of Aaron Rodgers got me a win. And it did decently in fantasy as well. I do expect to have a higher floor for Burrow, just given his pedigree. So I would go Burrow here as well. And when you look at them, and again, in Fantasy Life rankings, Burrow ranked just slightly higher than Dak Prescott. Again, this has to be matchup based too. Let's see. Let's get into just a little bit to talk about some of the standout players from week 15 as we go into week 16. Then we'll jump right back into some more questions, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and getting them all in the chat for us. We will get to them as quick as possible. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention the likes of these 4 standouts at each position. Trevor Lawrence with 44.3 fantasy points this week. 330 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns, 51 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. Trevor Lawrence is on one. It is wild. I mean, he is a lot of the reason why the Jags are in a position that they are right now, looking at playoffs.
Absolutely.
It's wild. It's insane because the last couple years, it's been like, when is he going to wake up? What is happening? What's going on in the back? Like, it didn't seem like things were translating from college to the league the way that they should. This season is looking different.
Well, I thought early in the season it didn't look right. I was actually kind of thinking right around like week 9, week 10. I was kind of like, damn, they gave one away against Houston, and it was some of it had to do with Trevor Lawrence turning the football over. Now, it wasn't all his fault. The Jags were amongst the league leaders in drops. Like that was something that was plaguing them, for the first 2 months of the season, and they were still, winning football games, but it felt like they were winning in spite of Trevor. But now over the last month, I mean, we've seen him just absolutely explode, like 12 touchdown passes in 4 games. Like, yeah, he is the reason why all of a sudden they have gone from kind of like this fringe wild card contender to now a team that is projecting that is probably going to win the AFC South. And right now, I mean, they have a chance to legitimately stay in the hunt for that number 1 overall seed when they play Denver this week.
I mean, talk about a crazy game. If the Jags can beat Denver this week, which Denver has an amazing defense as well, I feel like this is going to be a really interesting matchup and a true test for Trevor and that team. Have they solved all of their bugaboos going into this season? Everything that you pointed out, 100% true. So many drops, so many little things that were amiss, but when they're clicking, things look so much better. So if this is a week that he can get it together, it'll be really impressive. Another name to mention within the Jags too, Travis Etienne, a top performer at the running back position this week, 31.5 fantasy points, 32 rushing yards, 3 receptions. It's wild. Again, all of these points going in for the Jags. I cut you off before you're going to say something about this matchup.
Well, no, I'm just going to add, I'm going to pile on. Brian Thomas Jr. all of a sudden looks like the guy that we all expected him entering the entire 2025 season after a great rookie campaign. He looks healthy. He looks right. And him and Jacoby Myers really have a nice 1-2 punch. They complement each other's skill sets very well. But you're 100% right. Going to the Mile High City against that defense, you said it poignantly and perfectly. It's a true test as to whether the Jacksonville offense has clearly figured it out with Liam Cohen in his system, or if, Trevor Lawrence, this is an aberration. We'll find out in week 16. It makes it a very interesting discussion on, like, where do you rank him? Like, do you trust him? Like, yeah. It's hard not to after he has a career day with 6 touchdowns.
I mean, I think it all just goes back to, in terms of who are your better options, and who else is standing out on your roster that you could start over them at this point. 2 other players I want to make sure we talk about before we jump into more questions, just standouts again from week 15. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 41.4 fantasy points, 13 receptions, 164 yards and 2 touchdowns. Looking fantastic. He's got the Steelers this week, and they are 21st against the position. Detroit's playing at home. I do know how offenses can run up on my Steelers. I'm not going to act like that doesn't happen. It does. And I do feel like, St. Brown has the speed, and Goff is very comfortable when he's at home and in that dome, and not having to play in the snow, I definitely think is going to give them the edge.
Well, think about how we went from entering week 14's matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, him dealing with an ankle injury and possibly looking like he wasn't going to play. Then he guts it out with 6 catches for 92 yards, and then follows it up against the Rams and one of the best defenses in the NFL with a 40-plus point fantasy day. I think right now with Detroit in the situation that they are, and not to mention over the next 2 games, Sam, they're going to be playing indoors. They got at home against Pittsburgh, and then at Minnesota inside their dome.
Yep, so nice and cozy inside.
Yeah, nice and cozy inside. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, they're all must starts for me over the next 2 weeks, because it doesn't look like Sam Laporta's coming back. It looks like he's going to have surgery, unfortunately, which should end his campaign definitively in 2025.
Bums me out. Anyways, I'm not bitter because he's on my IR in my Dynasty League, but That's the league that I'm starting Parkinson in. So that's why I'm trying to stay positive.
Yes. Speaking of staying positive, though, I feel like there's another tight end that we have to talk about that I don't want to talk about because you see the helmet in the background. Are you going to mention anybody?
Kyle Pitts. We got to talk about Kyle Pitts. He was the reason many people were knocked out of the playoffs. And after that game, opponents facing Kyle Pitts, they just put up the white flag. They put their hands up and said, please stop. It hurts too much. 45.6 fantasy points, 11 receptions, 166 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, you knew that this was a contract year for him, and he does this. I feel like he's done this before. Like, we'll have like one big game towards the end of the season just to play for that contract and just gets us. Just when you thought you were out, you're pulled back in. Are you not on this Kyle Pitts train? You don't want to join in on the fun?
No, I'm disgusted that it happened against my team. I'm
You're bitter?
Distraught about it. Like, I'm very bitter. I'm very upset.
Tate is in the bitter barn. We're so sorry.
So let's look at this though from a fantasy lens and objectively look at what Kyle Pitts has done over the last 3 weeks. A lot of it without Drake London, but with Kirk Cousins under center. 8 targets, 10 targets, 12 targets, 7, 6, 11 receptions, 82, 90, 166 yards.
And they've got Arizona this week.
Yes, you should.
25th against the position.
And they're playing indoors, Sam. Don't have to worry about weather. Mm-hmm. Yes, you should start Kyle Pitts this week. And it would be the most Kyle Pitts thing in the world to deliver that type of fantasy performance and follow it up with like 2 receptions for 13 yards.
I mean, I hope not. He's currently ranked tight end 3 going into week 16 on Fantasy Life right now.
I'm starting him. I'm starting him over Travis Kelce. I'm starting him over
Yes, you are starting him over Travis Kelce. I mean, okay, I'm going to tell you this is going to be really interesting and divisive because, again, looking at rankings, consensus rankings on fantasylife.com, Kyle Pitts, tight end 3. So the 2 tight ends that are ranked above him, Trey McBride, I have no argument. George Kittle, also have no argument. He's ranked above Brock Bowers. Bowers has the Texans.
Yeah. No. Well,
so it makes sense.
He should be this week. I get it. The volume too. The volume is there, Sam.
It's there.
The matchup's nice. Like,
all of these really reflect perfectly the situations that all of these tight ends are facing this week. I think the only one I would maybe try to edge up again is Waller, just because he's got the Bengals this week. But still, Kyle Pitts, tight end 3.
You should start him.
Yeah.
Everything points to starting him this week. And I swear, if he is the reason why he's on 3 of my 4 fantasy rosters entering this playoff semifinal week, I'm putting my money where my mouth is, everybody. Mm-hmm. You're going to see a very sad Derek Tate the next time we record if Kyle Pitts lays an egg in week 16. But I'm hesitantly optimistic about him based off of what we've seen over the last 3 games.
I think that's fair. Last really big news that I would definitely want to touch on before we jump into more of these awesome questions. Patrick Mahomes, knee injury or an ACL. He is out for the season. That is brutal. Again, we talked about him a lot before the season started. We both were out on him going into the season, and he proved us wrong week in and week out just with his fantasy production. And if you got to the playoffs and you had Patrick Mahomes, I mean, a lot of it was because of him and everything that he was putting up, at least towards the beginning of the season. He really boosted where you were. Now the Chiefs have the Titans this week. I don't imagine there's any level of a scenario where you're starting Gardner Minshew. But it definitely does put a little bit of a knock on most of your Chiefs players if you were looking at starting them.
Yes. So, Sam, I feel like there's one of 2 scenarios that can play out. And I guess we can take it by the 2 guys that we're probably considering starting, right?
Sure.
Which would be, I think, Travis Kelce at the tight end position and then Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
Sam, I have no idea what we're going to get from Travis Kelce. Is he going to check out? I'm not saying I'm not going to accuse him of quitting or anything like that.
No.
But
They're out of the playoffs. There is no way for the Chiefs to get into the playoffs. So there's really not a ton to play for besides playing for the love of the game, which that all of these players absolutely do. And if talk about players that love the game, Gardner Minshew, so much fun to watch in terms of what he likes to put out on the field as well. And again, it is the Titans, so this is a winnable game for the Chiefs in a lot of aspects. This could be one where we go into next week talking about Gardner Minshew having an amazing game because it's against the Titans. So this is a really friendly matchup, but because you brought up Travis Kelce, again, Fantasy Life rankings, he's currently sitting at tight end 6. Looking at Rashee Rice, I mean, he's a little bit further down. What is that? Wide receiver 15?
That's exactly where I was going to guess. Yeah. And that's the thing. Where do you
13?
How do you feel about starting the two main cogs of the Chiefs offense? I don't feel super confident about it. Certainly you're kind of hoping for a reliable floor, but I feel like we don't really know what the hell this Chiefs offense is really going to look like.
No.
Without number 15 under center.
No, it puts a knock on several players, but if you're someone that has been starting Rashee Rice since he came back, you're probably leaning on him quite a bit. I think what you're looking for is some positivity and upside. Titans are 27th against the position when it comes to wide receivers. So there is that. You can throw on them. This is going to be a very interesting game. To your point, we have no idea what this Chiefs team is going to look like with Gardner Minshew for a full game. But if they're going to move the ball forward, it's going to be through their studs. So it'll be through Rice. It will be through Kelce. But temper those expectations.
Well, yeah, and that's another thing too. Is Kelce going to try to go out with a bang and this is truly the final season of his Hall of Fame career? Is he just going to say, you know what, I'm going to go out and trying to burn opposing defenses for the next 3 games and just leave it out there and walk away from the game knowing, hey, it just didn't go our way this season, but I had a hell of a career. Or does he kind of feel like, well, damn, this isn't how I saw this going. Like, I came back to win a Super Bowl, came back to avenge last year's, disaster against the Philadelphia Eagles, and it got even worse. Like, and he contributed to that. Like, he, the drop that turned into a pick six against the Jags, even in, what was it, against the Houston Texans, like a pass that he should have caught that turned into a pick to end the game. This was not the Travis Kelce that obviously we saw throughout most of his career. I don't know what this is going to look like. It just makes me very, very, very nervous starting both of them. One of the leagues that I have Rice and I have Kelce. Mm-hmm. It was great when Mahomes is under center.
Yeah.
Now that it's Minshew, I don't know if I trust either of them. So,
no, I know.
I think you have to start them because I do believe that they are the two guys that are probably going to be the main engines for Gardner Minshew, and I imagine they're probably still going to operate a lot of those West Coast concepts that Andy Reid is known for. Mm-hmm. We've seen Minshew have some fine performances in the NFL when pushed into a starter's role. So he's not a complete, travesty, but it is kind of, I'm not excited about it, even against the Titans.
Yeah.
But I'm probably hesitantly starting both players, but if I do have some other quality options that I see a path to some more upside, I would consider them in week 16.
I think that's fair. Let's jump to a couple more questions, and then we'll do a little bit of preview going into week 16, and then we'll talk about some petty parlays. Let's see. We got this one from Bayonne. I need 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. So let me list these off. Running backs, Gibbs, Swift, Marks, Monangai. Wide receivers, Tet, Pickens, BTJ, and Amika. 2, 2, and 1.
Yeah, obviously Gibbs. Mm-hmm. I'll go with DeAndre Swift. Mm-hmm. I know it's not an ideal matchup, but I do kind of wonder, how that Packers defense looks without Micah Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 2 wide receivers, give me Tet, give me Pickens, and I'm not going to mess with the Broncos defense if I don't have to. Give me a Mecca Ibuka.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I'll do the same. Part of me wants to go BTJ just to be different. But yeah, I'm going to marry yours as well.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, this one from Spartacus. Confident in the Patriots defense next 2 weeks.
I mean, yes. I mean, they're not going to be playing Josh Allen every single week. So, yeah, and really, for this week in particular,
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson threw the ball 12 times, Sam. He dropped back 16 times. He was sacked 4 of those times in a blowout against the Bengals.
Mm-hmm. And then you've got the Jets. So, yeah, there's confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's your upside. So, yes, confident, yes. Depends on your other defenses available, but that's always kind of goes without saying. Depends on who else you have to start. But are you confident these next 2 weeks? Yeah, more than this past week.
I'd be completely fine unless there's an elite defense available rolling with the Patriots over the next 2 weeks.
There you go. All right, this one from Joseph. If I'm somehow able to get both CMC and Bijan, which 3 would you start? AJ Brown, Bijan, Bucky, Achane, CMC, and Travion.
CMC, Achane, and Bijan.
Yep. Same.
I mean, I love what Travion's doing. I love Bucky.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Tucker vultured a touchdown away from him this week, I think, if I remember correctly. Excuse me. And then AJ Brown. Why sign up for that if you don't have to? I know he's playing better, Sam. I get it. Keep AJ happy, but
that's how they're winning.
But when you've got 3 top 6 fantasy options at running back, then give me that all day.
Just to be different than you, I'll go CMC, Bijan, and AJ Brown, just because they've got Washington this week, very beatable, very banged up. There is still so much to play for the Eagles, so this is not something where they're coasting at this point. They have to win and continue to win, which is what makes these last couple weeks so fascinating as we build up towards the playoffs. And he had a touchdown this past week, which you love. You don't love that it was only 2 catches. But the week before that, 6 catches for 100 yards. Week before that, 10 catches over 100 receiving yards. Again, this is Washington. This is a very beatable defense.
You would start him over Achane?
I mean, I do love Achane's matchup against the Bengals. I'm not going to say that I don't.
His PPR floor feels so much safer than AJ Brown's this year. I get the matchup against the Washington defense totally, but I also, the only other thing I worry about too, Sam, is if they just, like they did to the Raiders, just jump on the Commanders with a big lead early.
Fair.
How much are they going to have to throw the ball type of thing?
Fine, you've swayed me. I will go CMC, Bijan, and I will go Achane. I do love my Achane though. I have it in several leagues. Doesn't happen often, ladies and gentlemen, but it can happen.
I swayed you?
You did. Somehow you did.
Oh.
All right. Juan has a playoff question for us. Who for their quarterback 1? I've got Lawrence and Brissett. Waivers has Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, JJ McCarthy, and Caleb Williams. So let's go ahead and just rank these quarterbacks for him. I think that might help.
Give me Brissett.
I
know what Trevor Lawrence just did.
Mm-hmm.
But he's playing against Denver this week.
He's playing against Denver this week.
At Denver. Oh, give me Brissett.
Yeah. I wanted to see how far behind Stroud was from Brissett. Brissett sitting at quarterback 9 for the week on Fantasy Life, and Stroud sitting at quarterback 12. So there's enough of a gap there that I feel a little bit more comfortable in terms of, yes, just start Brissett and feel great about it. Again, it also, do you want to play keep away from someone else in your league because they also need a quarterback and pick somebody else up? I would pick up Stroud. but
I'm
that's
okay
kind
with
of where I'm
starting
leaning.
Stroud. I'm okay with starting Stroud too. That's totally fine against that Raiders defense for sure.
Yeah. And then just for comparison, Bryce Young sitting at quarterback 20 by comparison. This one, on the second round, who for my wide receiver, 1, 2, 3, and flex spot. Wide receivers are Mike Evans, Devontae Adams. Considering that he is day-to-day, this might be a decision you have to make quicker. Then you've got Jordan Addison, Debo Samuel, Jacoby Myers, Keyshawn Butte, and Quentin Johnston. On running back side, so this goes into the flex spot. Zach Charbonnet, Travion Henderson, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor. And at RB1 and 2, let's see, Kittle. Okay, there's a follow-up there with waivers as well if you need to pull in that Tate if you see it.
Okay.
So let's start with wide receivers 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. I'll go with Mike Evans. I'm assuming Devontae Adams is not playing.
I think it's safer to assume he's not. The Rams are in the best spot to make a run for the Super Bowl, and they're going to want to be really smart with how they save Devontae Adams. If they can get away with a win against Seattle without him, that's going to be huge, saving him. Again, this is a short week for the Rams.
I just don't even know if he's. Yeah, it's a short week. I don't even know if he's going to be able to go. I thought it looked like he popped that hamstring.
It looked really suspect. It seems like he's avoided a big injury, but per McVay, Adams said he felt it go, which you don't want to hear.
Right.
You don't want to hear that. I mean, you would rather it sounds like a cramp. Let's eat some bananas, like whatever. But this is not that situation. It sounded worse than that.
He's not playing 4 days later.
No, I think that I feel like it's very likely he doesn't play. And all to those points that we've made earlier, it's against the Seattle defense, which is going to be really tough.
Yeah. So give me Mike Evans. JJ McCarthy's actually not playing terrible. Jordan Addison.
He just doesn't want to pass to Justin Jefferson.
Well, that's okay if he throws it to Jordan Addison instead.
I know.
So, I mean, but he's throwing the ball to Jalen Naylor. Anyway, I digress. Jacoby Myers as my number 3 option that I'm picking. I don't trust the Washington passing offense.
Sure.
At all without Jaden Daniels under center. And then it says flex spot. Definitely Jonathan Taylor. I'm going to rank it Taylor, Jacobs, Henderson, Charbonnet, and then, of course, you have Kittle at tight end. Juan, you look like you're in a pretty good spot. So
yeah, no, 100%, especially when you just rank the running backs just like that. I mean, I'll go Jacobs is questionable against Chicago is the only knock for him. So for myself, I'll go Taylor above him as well. And then Josh Jacobs, Travion Henderson would go in that order for me. Charbonnet after those. Let's see. This one, we answered one similar earlier, Stroud or Stafford.
Stroud.
Love that. Let's see. I'm going to get to a couple more. This one was a follow-up to that one. Full PPR also need 2, Etienne, Tracy, and Flowers.
Ooh, Etienne for sure. Give me Zay.
Zay?
I'm going to go Zay over Tracy. Again, I just don't trust the damn Giants. Now, yes, I know you'll probably see more total touches than Zay Flowers, but like Lamar, like I mentioned before, only threw the ball 8 times, and Zay felt like the only relevant fantasy producer that was a pass catcher for the Ravens in Week 15. So, yeah, I'll go with Zay over Tracy in this upcoming matchup.
Fair, I agree. I'll go Etienne and Flowers as well there. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm not missing too many really last-minute questions. This one. Hi, my opponent has Love and Caleb, Fannin and Ferguson. Should I get Brissett, Pitts, or Parkinson to block him? Who would be the priority? So let's pick between these.
Well, between Mr. Brisket, Pitts, and Parkinson, I mean, I'm not worried about blocking Parkinson, even though Sam loves herself some Colby Parkinson.
He saved me. It's,
He did. I know.
I'm a loyal fantasy manager. You help me, I help you.
100% the priority should be Pitts. For me.
Agree. Yeah.
And then Brissett, I actually like Brissett more than I like Jordan Love and Caleb Williams this week.
Agreed.
But I also like Pitts more than I like Fannin and Ferguson this week too. So it's like, take your pick, but I'd rather prioritize, Pitts, Brissett, and then, Parkinson. I personally, I'd let somebody else go ahead and, take that bullet. But
Very fair. Can let people like Sam Holt take that bullet for you. I'm going to continue to just start Colby Parkinson. All right. I want to talk a little bit about week 16 before I tee you up to talk about some petty parlays.
Okay.
All right. As we look going forward towards week 16 of these matchups, I just want to know, which one are you most excited to watch? I know for myself, I'm really looking forward to watch, shockingly, more Phillip Rivers, because he's facing the Niners, and they were so close to getting the upset and getting the win this weekend. They're in Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. The Niners are looking a lot better, but you never know. You never know. And so to me, I'm really excited about watching that one. That's Monday Night Football. You've also got, obviously, Thursday Night Football, which should be a lot of fun. Rams, Seahawks. There's a couple matchups here that I'm just really looking forward to seeing. Against, could be fireworks for Chargers, Cowboys. Which matchup are you most looking forward to watching?
Yeah, from a fantasy lens, it is certainly the 49ers and the Colts. Personal investment, I have to go ahead and, peel back the curtain here a little bit and let you all know that in 3 of the leagues that I am playing in this weekend with a potential opportunity to advance to the championship round. Yep. I've got both Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey. So, and they have done me well for the vast majority of this season.
I bet.
So watching them play against one another on Monday Night Football with my championship aspirations on the line is I'm going to be tuned in.
You're going to be in your feelings.
Yeah, don't call me, don't text me, and I'm going to probably lose a little bit of hair. You may see a balder Tate next time you see me. But,
oh my God.
Happy holidays. Yeah, so definitely that matchup. I think the Jags Broncos. I think that these are 2 quarterbacks with Trevor Lawrence and Bo Nix that have certainly flashed. And I think that they're both, over the last month, Sam, they're both, I think, the driving force behind their offenses and how they've been able to elevate their teams into contention for the number 1 overall seed in the AFC that's going to be without Patrick Mahomes. And by the way, what is something they both have in common this year that I think were kind of launching points for their success this season? They beat Kansas City. Those are the two, these are 2 young quarterbacks and 2 young teams that are in the infancy of learning how to win in big moments. And both of those quarterbacks delivered.
Yeah.
In those moments, and you've seen them kind of grow since those points. So I'm really intrigued to see what this looks like in a potential playoff preview in the AFC.
Yeah, that's going to be honestly a really fantastic matchup. I really can't wait to see it too. Again, what I love that there's so many different ways you can see the playoffs boiling down. I'm also looking at, we've got, what is that? Packers Bears. That's going to be a really good one. I mean, talk about turning a franchise around. Ben Johnson has done an amazing job with the Bears to put them in a situation where they're sitting here and it's the playoffs are there for them for the taking. Bears are the 2nd seed in the NFC. Packers are 7th seed. So they can secure this. With this win, this is going to be huge for them. So I feel like this is exactly what you want going into your fantasy playoffs, are teams that have so much on the line that need to leave it all out there, just like they're going to leave it all out there on the field for you for your fantasy matchup.
Sam, I'm 100% with you too, with that matchup being, I think, one of the top ones of this week. And we're going to find out, because I mean, the NFC is the NFC playoff picture, Sam, one of the Packers the Lions, the Bears, or the 49ers feel like one of those teams is going to get left out of the dance. And the Bears and the Packers this week, there's a lot at stake.
There is.
For two young teams. And so, I think that's certainly up there. And of course, another one that's just, I look at this helmet in disgust right now. But the Buccaneers versus the Panthers in the hotly contested NFC South.
Things we didn't think we'd say in 2026, but it's fine. All right. I see one question here I wanted to get to before we jump into petty parlays. This one from Vince. Love or dart or pick up Herbert off waivers? Herbert and his one good hand.
Herbert and his one good hand is probably enough against the Dallas Cowboys. So, Love playing against the Bears in cold weather. And Love is playing pretty damn good football right now. So, I don't want to dismiss that altogether. And Jackson Dart with his, his competitiveness and what he gives you with his legs is always a little bit intriguing, right? But I don't want to mess with the Vikings defense. That Bears defense is also forcing a lot of turnovers this season. And they're starting to get a little bit healthier, which gives me some room for optimism for that Bears defense to maybe be a little bit better than what we've seen prior. But give me Justin Herbert. I'm not a full believer quite yet in that Dallas defense. They've shown some improvement since bringing in Quinnen Williams, but give me Justin Herbert. That with all the leaky, explosive play issues this secondary has had, and you got guys like Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, Trey Harris, Rondé Gadsden. Yeah, give me Herbert.
I understand wanting Herbert. I just went ahead and threw these three quarterbacks into the lovely start sit tool over on fantasylife.com. Guys, if you haven't checked it out, it is pretty cool. You can divvy things up by overall overview or as well as stats. And it's actually got Jackson Dart as a best start in this start sit tool, which is kind of interesting. Splitting hairs, though, there's several things very close with Herbert. So I will say, your leanings and allegiances aside, in terms of projections for rushing, you're going to give the nod to Dart because he does run quite a bit. Although Herbert, because he's down a hand, has been running quite a lot himself.
Right. I'm the way I'm looking at it, Sam, wouldn't we say that Brian Flores is probably one of the better, more chaotic, psychopath, defensive, schematic guys in the NFL? Mm-hmm. The amount of pressures that he brings, in particular, like fire zone blitzes and stuff like that, that's a lot for a young quarterback to handle that doesn't have a great offensive line in front of him, doesn't have a great go-to option in the passing game. And he holds the ball because, he's very athletic and certainly extends plays. And, I love his competitiveness, but Minnesota still has some dogs up front.
They do. They absolutely have some great defenses.
Yeah, so I just would prefer to stay away from the Vikings defense if I don't have to mess with it for a rookie quarterback.
And that's what looks like what Vince's concern here is, chiming into the chat saying Vikings defense is tough. 100%. They're very tough. Again, I just want to give you the stats that I'm seeing in terms of projections. I love to play devil's advocate and give you all the information so you can just make the best possible decision. But I agree. Personally, who would I rather start and rather cheer for going to my fantasy playoffs, going for upside? I'm in agreement with you. I would go Justin Herbert. That being said, Tate, I want to tee us up for petty parlays, my favorite thing we've been doing this season, which, guys, if you love bets and you want another little edge to those bets, this besides just the chalky things, Tate has some really fun parlays that have a petty edge. So I say do it for the plot. These bets are for that. Tate, let's tee it off. What is our first petty parlay? Jump right in.
Yeah, kids, it's time for the Tater Parlay of the Day, Fantasy Football Semifinals Edition. Count them with me. 1, 2, 3-leg parlay. And maybe an additional fourth one if I'm feeling a little bit feisty. And Sam, one of the reasons I'm feeling feisty, because, we all have holiday parties. Some of them, being work related, some of them being with family, which, they practically take it as a party, at least in the Tate household. So I went bowling today for a work event. And
nice.
Sam, I won the first 2 games of bowling. I haven't bowled in like 4 years.
Oh yeah, love that.
You're going to see a trend of 4 here.
Okay.
So won the first 2 games and then, was trailing, seemed to be come crashing back down to earth. By the way, I won those games like by scoring 108 points, which is not very much in the world of bowling. That's barely cracking.
A win is a win. We'll take it.
That is nothing worth bragging about. One of my cohorts got off to a good start, and I was like thinking that I was going to take the L. Sam, for the first time in my life, I threw 4 strikes in a row. Stole it. Had a personal high of 175 in the final game. So,
nice.
Yeah. So I'm feeling, the omen of 4s, right? I got 4 strikes today. I have 4 fantasy teams in the fantasy semifinal matchups. I got 4, 4, 4. So you know what? I'm going to throw the 4th one in there. So I'm going to go ahead and lay it out here. Sam, who's playing on Thursday Night Football again?
We've got Rams Seahawks. I'm guessing you've got a feisty one here, considering there's a lot at stake for both these teams.
Yeah, there's a lot at stake for both of these teams. So we mentioned Devontae Adams on multiple occasions.
We did.
Who was the guy that Devontae Adams replaced there in Los Angeles?
Cooper Kupp.
Who does he play for now?
The Seahawks. I'm seeing a connection. I'm seeing a petty moment.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's go ahead and let's list him as one of the petty parlay guys.
Love it.
And I'm just going to do a blanket one across the board, make this very simple for all of our listeners. And you can go ahead and, put this on the ticket, so to say.
Okay.
Next one, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mentioned that's one of the games I'm going to be paying attention to. They're playing against the Denver Broncos. Sam, Trevor Lawrence used to target a guy at the tight end position before Brenton Strange. Who was that?
Evan Ingram?
Evan Ingram. Yes, he's now a member of the Denver Broncos, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. So I think that's a petty parlay nominee, right?
I like it. Let's throw his name in there. Okay.
Let's stay at tight end.
Okay, I'm loving it.
We've talked about the potential of a shootout down in South Florida between the Miami Dolphins and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, yeah. There's another one. New home, new place.
Talked about Darren Waller, right?
Yeah, we did.
Who's the tight end on the other side?
Mike Gesicki. I'm seeing your trend.
Yeah, you got it. Who did Mike Gesicki used to play for?
The Dolphins.
That's right, Sam. Damn, you're really good there. And then finally, the Philadelphia Eagles. I know we were talking a lot about Jalen Hurts and, whether we trust him as a fantasy option, playing against the Washington Commanders. They don't have Jaden Daniels. Sam, once upon a time, I thought it was one of the weirdest trades, but it's a Howie Roseman type thing. So, nothing ever is out of the ordinary, I guess, with him. Didn't they acquire a former first-round pick at the wide receiver position from the Washington Commanders? Who was that?
Jahan Dotson?
Jahan Dotson.
Hey, 4 for 4.
So, do you know where this quote is from? Dotson. We got Dotson here. See, no one cares. Not that.
No one cares. Jurassic Park.
Thank you.
Dennis Nedry.
Dennis Nedry. It's really unfortunate he only showed up in one because a Dilophosaurus got him. Anyway, all that being said, just go ahead and give me an anytime touchdown for all 4 of those players. Put it on the same ticket. I'm getting spicy. I'm feeling it. I threw 4 strikes today. Got 4 fantasy matchups that I feel good about to be able to get to the fantasy championship round. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Week 16 Petty Parlay 1, 2, 3, 4 leg parlay. Good luck, kids.
Thank you so much for that 4-leg parlay, Tate. Those were all fun. I like it. I love making bets. I just like it when there's a little bit of extra plot and spiciness going on in it. So for me, I love, placing bets on players playing against their former teams. There's just one extra little edge there. It's a good time. So those are lovely. Thank you for those.
Oh, thanks.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Sideline Banter this season. If you haven't already, please hit like, subscribe, follow on Women's Fantasy Football, everywhere you get your podcasts. We really appreciate it. Tate and I are going to be taking time these next 2 weeks with the holidays, and we will be back in January. We've got plenty to talk about. I feel like, Tate, you and I should just continue to talk about playoffs, and then maybe some speculation, some DFS, some more parlays, and then we'll be gearing up for draft season.
Yeah, so I don't know about you, but I may be willing, since we have so many participants. And by the way, to everybody that hit us with questions today and throughout the entire season and following our show, we launched it this year. Thank you so much. I have to say that to finish out 2025. If I'm feeling as spicy as I am today, I may want to propose a fantasy football playoff challenge.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe like a little guillotine style. Well, I mean, maybe just a best ball, like you just draft it once and, see what the hell happens. Yeah. But, I just wanted to express my gratitude and say happy holidays to all of you from me and my family over here. It has been such a pleasure to get back on the microphone with Sam. Sam, you are the best.
Oh, thank you. You're the best.
And happy holidays as well.
Yes, thanks. And yeah, happy holidays to all of you. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really appreciate the constant questions, chats, and follows. Again, make sure you follow us everywhere you get your podcasts. Follow Tate at Derek Tate NFL on X. You can follow me on X at Samantha R. Holt. Guys, it's been a lot of fun. Wishing you and yours all the best this lovely holiday season, and good luck in your fantasy championships. Make sure that you at us on X, anywhere you find us on social, and let us know how you finish out your fantasy playoffs this season. If you get that championship, let us know. We'd love to hear it. And we will see you in 2026 with some more fun for playoffs and as we jump into the 2026 season. Love you guys. Stay safe this holiday season, and we will see you in 2026.